I'm Professor Henrik Hautop Lund of the Technical University of Denmark, and I would like to thank you for watching in here. I'm going to talk today about body and brain training with big data and AI, and of course, especially for seniors with dementia. This is work that we have done over some years now, and we have won quite a few prizes for this lately. Some of this that you can see here, but let's get to the real thing. So what we are trying to look at is how can we help seniors with different difficulties. Take for instance this old lady from Malaysia. She has wasted lower limb muscle problems, and she couldn't stand up, and had this challenge that her daughter was going to be having her wedding in Singapore a few weeks later. So she came to Home Medicare and said she wanted to do some rehabilitation. And actually, after just 5 weeks of training, she was able to stand up and walk again, and thereby be able to participate in her daughter's wedding. Another example we can look at is this one. This is Inger Bohl from Denmark. She had a similar story that she had a stroke in her case, and she couldn't travel to visit her son who lived in Thailand, and that's of course was quite bad for her. So she started to train with this Moto Tiles, playing around on these colored tiles that you see on the ground, and what she says after a few weeks of training was that she was able to travel to her son, and apart from that, especially that it feels liberating for her, that she feels greater freedom. She can now go by herself to the bakery and grocery whenever it suits herself. So she is independent of others. This is a big quality for her now. A third example I just want to do before we go into the other things is, for instance, this lady, a sclerosis patient, whom you can see playing with the Moto Tiles here. What the doctors found with her playing around with this was first of all that she's very motivated and enthusiastic, which is very important when we're talking about trying to do things with people who have difficulties. It's important for everybody that can we find things that really motivates us to do the rehabilitation, if we're talking about that. And of course, apart from that, the more qualitative things in terms of her health is that they found improved balancing and proprioception, and improved ability of lateral movement and the left-right distinction in the case of this sclerosis patient with cerebellar ataxia. So the general thing is that we can do effect studies, which we do, and find that in randomized controlled trials among seniors, average age 83 years old, that they improve their balancing score with 150%. So think about that, 150%. And this is after merely 5 hours of play on the Moto Tiles. In this case, the randomized control trial would be 2 times of training per week for 12 weeks. Each time they would be playing for just 13 minutes on this Moto Tiles. And by that, a total would be 5 hours. They would improve balancing scores like this, and also things like mobility, agility, endurance, and so forth. And we do believe that apart from the quantitative measures we can do like that to see 150% improvement in balancing scores, the qualitative reason for why they are improving so much is that this is play. This is playful. This is fun. And play is important here because play is a free and voluntary activity that we do for no other purpose than play itself. So when we are in play dynamics, we forget about time and place, and we can often do more than we would normally be able to do. So this is what we see being playing out with the things with the Moto Tiles, is that we can motivate through play, and then by the way, we can measure some things we would call the collateral health effects. So the foremost purpose here is to create play. And if we are good at creating playful technology and play, then the effects will be, I would say, fairly easy for us to measure, because the important thing is to create motivation amongst the seniors in this case. So we created this Moto Tiles to bring happiness to life. For instance, we use this amongst seniors with dementia in Japan, together with Seno Mizuno, who distribute the Moto Tiles there. You can see 3 different setups here just to show you the variety of way you can set things up. We have created these Moto Tiles as interactive tiles, pretty much like Lego blocks. So imagine this, you can build with this any kind of shape that you would like to. You can put it up anywhere. You can allow people to just put up a chair to hold on to if they need that, or put it inside the parallel walking bar. So it becomes something that's easily to transport to any senior, in this case with dementia, and for any care worker to set up and to start playing with within seconds. So this is in the case you can see here where we're playing with individuals. We can also do social play. And in this case from Finland, they're playing this music game. So you might be able to hear that when they press their tile, there's a sound coming out as well. But this is a group play between seniors with dementia now. They can enjoy playing together with each other, and many people like here, 5 or 6, can play at the same time. So we know that in general that the Moto Tiles play is effective. We have published this, and there's a couple of references here. Published this where we can see that there's a very high and fast effect on the physical things like balancing, especially as I talked about before, strength, mobility, endurance, and so forth. So the physical functional abilities of the seniors. And in this case, we're talking seniors who are average age 83 years old. Typically, our experiments are with seniors between 70 years of age and 96, 97 years of age. But what we have also done is that together with Noi, which is a spin-off from Hitachi in Japan, we have been looking at brain training games for seniors. And what Noi is doing is they have created this headband, a wearable brain scanning device using near infrared spectroscopy. And they have then used this together with seniors who are playing on the Moto Tiles, as you can see on the photo here. So what they do is that they look at the brain activity here in the prefrontal cortex, which essentially can tell us something about concentration. And then at the same time also do pre and post tests with standard cognitive tests. And what they find is that there's a correlation between brain activity here and the score in the physical games on the Moto Tiles. And there's a significant improvement in the cognitive tests as well. So for training with seniors with dementia, we can use this for both the physical and the cognitive skills training, like we're doing here in Shanghai. This is at Shanghai Isao, where they are training seniors with dementia, and you get the feeling for what's happening here on the video. So what we did there in Shanghai was we did a small randomized control trial with 2 groups of seniors with dementia, an intervention group and control group. They played for the intervention group for 2 weeks with the Moto Tiles, and the control group played what they would normally do, board games and so forth. The Moto Tile play was, and the other play was 30 minutes for 5 times per week. over the weekdays, so a total of 10 days over the 2 weeks, total of 5 hours of training in 2 senior care homes under the Shanghai Isahu. And we did pre and post tests with some cognitive tests like visual search and in-back and so forth. And then the statistical analysis. And what we found was that there was significant improvement in the reaction time and in the accuracy of the in-back test. So this is quite interesting because if we look at in general, what do we know from the literature about traditional training, both for the physical skills and the cognitive skills of seniors? Well, we know from systematic reviews that it will demand a minimum of 50 hours to get a significant effect. But on the other hand, we have just seen that with these experiments, both the physical and the cognitive improvements of the seniors, that when they're playing with the Moto Tiles, they do this in a tenth of this time over just 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours typically. So this has a much more rapid effect on the body and the brain. And as I talked about before, this we believe is due to the playfulness and the right design of this playful technology of the Moto Tiles. So we create with the technology, this technology mediates a playful interaction, pushes the senior into a playful dynamics where they are forgetting about time and place and where they can suddenly do much more than they would normally do. They are not fearing anymore to do certain movements and to see limitations in themselves. They're just playing along. So this is quite interesting, the effect on the body and the brain, because this means we can also think about using this to do what we call a body and brain age test of people, using ideas from AI and big data. Now, the idea here is that, as we sketch on one side here, is that we can imagine we can do a small test on the Moto Tiles where seniors and others are jumping around, playing different games for 2 minutes. While they're playing these games, we can have the system to do a performance analysis. And based on the performance analysis, do a risk analysis to see if there's any health risk among them. Give a recommendation based on that and create automatically a personalized training protocol, giving automatically the games and duration and levels that they have to play. And then they will play this for a period of time. And then after say 2 or 3 weeks, they can take the test again and so forth. So in order to do so, we want to be sure that there's a correlation between the games that we're having the seniors to play and the results that we get from standard health tests to verify that this is a tool that we can use. So what we did to begin with was to make a study with more than 50 seniors and found that there is indeed a strong correlation between standard health test and the game score on the Moto Tiles games. As we can see here, when we look at the standard health test cut points, they map to the exact same Moto Tiles game score. This, when we look at, for instance, time up and go, chair to stand, and 4 square stepping test, we see that we know that if you score below a certain threshold in this test, you are at high risk of falling. If we map that over to what would the score be in different Moto Tiles games, as we have named here. One game is Color Race, one game is Special one game is Final Countdown. The mapping shows that we can see that if we play the Color Race game and people score below 19 points in that game, they will be at high risk of falling, because we know there's a strong correlation between timed up and go and the game score in color race, and we know that there's a certain threshold in timed up and go under which you will have a high risk of falling. So we can map that over to the color race game. Now, further than that, we can start using big data and do big data analysis. Like here's just one example. These are from some users in Japan, where we are collecting from different countries. We have here on the x-axis, we have the age of the people playing. On the y-axis, we have the game score, and the numbers we see are number of people who are scoring in those particular ranges. So for instance, we can see that the people who are between 50 and 59, there are 49 of those who score between 20 and 25. What you can actually notice quite quickly here is that there's kind of a diagonal. So you can see that the older people get, obviously you can say they're scoring lower. But we can imagine, now this is done with 411 people. Imagine we can do that with many more people, and we can start mapping this into the graph you see here, where we can see where the fitting result that the young people, the kids are scoring a bit lower, and then when they come up to be 25, 30, they're kind of peaking there, and then it goes gradually down. So with this, you can imagine we can get the nominal score for your age. If you look at this here, you can see the fitting result. If we take one who's let's say 80 years old, he is supposed to score around 14 points. Now imagine you are 80 years old, you play this game and you only score 10 points, then we can probably say that there may be something there that we want to look into, because you're scoring significantly lower than what the nominal score is. So using this, and now I showed you one example from one game, we have this setup where they're playing 4 different games, as we can see on the left: color race, special one, final countdown, and remember. And then after 2 minutes, the system comes up with a score. What is your body and brain age? Then we can look at the results, press on that, and we can see as mapped out here, and we can print this out to the senior. As you see on the right side, they get a small piece of paper where it says what is your body and brain age, and look at the spider web, where we can see what is the score of your memory, your orientation, agility, speed, endurance, balancing, and concentration. So you can see there where there are some maybe some problems, and then the system gives recommendations. So pretty much as I showed before with this diagram, that we're doing automatic performance analysis and risk analysis, and then the system may give a recommendation. So the recommendation can come out in the form of, if you press training here, then it generates the automatic training protocol that fits particular to you, with the good things you have and the bad things you have in terms of your performance. So for instance, in this case, it generates this automatic protocol which says you have to play first color race for 1 minute, then color race 1 minute, special one 1 minute, special one, reads, and final countdown. And you just have to press the play button. So it all runs by itself. It analyzes by itself, it generates the training protocol by itself, and it plays these games for you, so to speak, by itself, where you just have to interact and play the games. So for seniors with dementia, we did the effect test of this in Denmark over 4 weeks training sessions with the Moto Tiles. They were playing 7 minutes 2 to 3 times per week, a total of 1 hour, you can say. And we did the pre and post test with this body and brain test, and found that there was improvement, a large improvement in this game scores. And specifically, we could see that they brought the seniors up to or above the cut point for when they were at high risk of falling, for instance. And obviously the therapist liked this because it's customized training, and it thereby targets what are the individual weaknesses. As I say, we could then look at the cut points there. Now this is one example. Just I took one senior, a male here, and we can see at the first test he did, he got these scores, and then the system would generate an automatic protocol for him, saying that he had to play Final Countdown 4 times and Simon Says 3 times. Then he did a test a week later, giving him new score, and the system would generate a new protocol for him with slightly different games, because he had improved on his, for instance, in his speed, so he needed more of other things like the memory games, so he had to do more special one, color race, and so forth. So we get this kind of, and then finally the results we can see was better for him in the end. And this is for a male, and this is for a female. You can see it can vary quite a lot, obviously, what the individual scores are, and thereby also the individual protocols that will be automatically generated for these seniors with dementia. But the important thing is the system can then target the individual senior. And then you can bring this to the private homes of the seniors like this, and they can play the games. And then, of course, we can bring them into other things like playing cross-generational play with seniors with dementias, being done in both Hong Kong and Singapore, like this. Or we can do more individual play or group play, like here in Finland, different games, different physical setups, layout of the tiles, and get, for instance, like here, qualitative reports from the seniors. Some saying, earlier I didn't trust my legs, but now I do. I manage at home without my cane. I'm a better mood at home, and so forth. So with this, I will end here and say I do believe we can use our efforts and technology to bring happiness to life for seniors with dementia. And if you're more interested in all this, please feel free to contact me and look at our website as well. We're always happy to share things with you, and hope that we can collaborate in future. Thank you very much for listening.